Hey everyone, Happy New Year. This is Tyler Robertson. So today I want to talk to you about why I went into sales engineering versus going into cloud engineering. And this video is way overdue, but I wanted to make sure that I had a lot of experience and information before I talked about this subject, because it's not easy. This isn't a simple choice. When you're going through this, you're going to have to figure out, is this really the best career for me? So I want to make sure I have as many insights as possible to tell you about it. So anyway, let's get down to it. I originally wanted to go straight into cloud engineering because I was an IT systems engineer in the military. So what I was planning on was going directly into a role that was just like the one I was doing in the military. And what I wanted to be was technical. So I wanted to make sure that I was the technical subject matter expert in my organization. I like the idea of being an individual contributor to that, right? Not being responsible for headcount, but being involved and still a leader. I wanted to have that. And I had invested a lot of time into this skill set already. I had spent countless hours prepping for certifications. I'd done all my AWS certs. I did the Solutions Architect Associate. I'd done my security specialty, as well as a bunch of others before I even left service. And so I wanted to make sure that my investment in all that was going to matter, because I did a ton of work for it. I thought, this is what I need to do, right? And I was ready to go. But after many years of working as an Army officer, I realized I'm leaving a lot of skills on the table just going into an engineering role, or in exactly the same role as I was doing in the military, right? So one of those things that I was leaving on the table as an Army officer was my ability to sell. And so in the military, you're not selling for money. You're not selling for profit. But what you are selling all the time is a risk decision. You're selling a risk decision to somebody else. So it could be on the what I'll call the planning side. You're selling a plan to your commander about how to do a certain thing that's within your realm of expertise. So for me, when I was a field artilleryman, I was looking at that from the fire support angle, right? I was informing a military commander, an infantryman, about the best way to use all these different assets. When I was in communications, I was informing a commander about a communications plan. So both of those things were leading and making an informed decision, which was selling, right? Because they have to agree to what I'm saying, and that's the thing that's going to end up happening. So that is selling in a way, right? Another thing I was leaving out was interpersonal skills. So while you're in the military, you talk to people at all different levels all the time. As a officer, as an NCO, even as enlisted, you're talking to people at different levels, and you got to know how to talk to each audience. So the process of doing that, I figured out that sales is very similar in that regards, right? That you're going to be talking to a VP as much as you're going to be talking to a developer, depending on the role that you're in. And so in sales, you never know who's going to be on. So it's very similar that way. And in the military, that was a skill set that I was using all the time that I didn't really account for. So I think it's something you need to weigh in your equation. Another thing, and maybe this was the most obvious one, was the leadership aspect. So in the military, you think of leadership as perhaps being a commander or being a squad leader, but it doesn't mean that you have to be responsible for people. You can be an individual contributor, like I said earlier, and be a subject matter expert in your field, in your niche, in your segment. And that's something that you can do without needing to, be a cloud engineer, just saying like you're working on this, specific technical thing. Well, you can also do that in sales, right? And in this particular position, a sales engineer allows you to still be very technical and be a leader within your niche without needing to manage people, right? So let's distinguish here between management and being a leader in your segment, because those are two different things. And so from here on out, I'm going to be talking about kind of what it means to be an individual contributor leader. So I became aware of this because I had mentors that looked at me and heard what I was saying. I wanted to be a cloud engineer. And they heard that and said, well, there's a lot of stuff that you're also good at that you should consider. And so once we had gone through that process, we figured out that sales engineering actually was a really good fit for me. I sat in a few calls, I listened, learning about what a sales engineer actually did, and I decided, hey, this is a great fit. And so, to clarify the definition of what a sales engineer is, a sales engineer is just a technical subject matter expert that's helping customers make a decision about an IT investment in the form of products or services. So today, what I do is I work with customers to help them make decisions about investments in public cloud. I sell solutions, not just products, even though I can do some of that too. And what I mean by that is solutions are big level designs. It can be many different products. It can be lots of different things. But what I'm doing is talking with customers and giving them all the insights they need to make a decision. So it's really not that different from what I was doing in the military, if you think about it. And so that's why this is such a great fit. So now I want to talk to you a little bit about why I enjoy sales engineering specifically and the job I do today. So the first off thing is what I was looking for originally was being a technical expert in my field and contributing in that way. So I can still deep dive technically. I'm still doing cloud stuff every single day. I can do home labbing. I can lab for my actual job in the form of demos. And I'm working with challenging customer problems on a regular basis. They come to me, hey, we want to implement this. We want to try this out. We don't know what it's going to cost. We don't know what it looks like. Can this work? Is this viable? Those are questions I'm helping them answer. And so often that requires me to get into the documentation, to go build, to go do all this stuff, which is technically minded, right? It's something you actually do need your skill set for. You can't just pick it up one day just because a customer says so, right? And so that's something that's being fulfilled in this job, which previously I thought was only reserved for just being a cloud engineer. I didn't know you could do this as a sales engineer. Another thing that I really enjoy is like I mentioned earlier, those soft skills. I get to work with customers, internal, external. I never know who's going to walk through the door, like Pawn Stars. And I get to talk with everybody from a VP, as I said, down to a developer. So I need to change how I talk to each audience. When you're talking to a VP, it's business terms. When you're talking to a director, it's kind of a mix. You have a bit of a technical, you have a bit of business. And then when you're talking to devs, admins, it's almost straight technical the entire time. And you have to be able to pivot, change your conversation, and be able to talk to people where they're at. So you're not confusing them and you're adding as much value as you can to the conversation. Another thing, obviously, I get to do selling, so I get to work on convincing people, which is a challenge. Selling in the military doesn't have the same stakes as selling here, right? Because not only am I trying to convince them of something, but that thing is going to get executed and it has to work. And they spend a lot of money on it too, a lot of times. So they are expecting you to give you great information, to be as informed as possible. So that way on the other side, they're like, wow, we were so happy we did this. This was a great investment and it's moving us towards our actual business goals and our larger strategy, right? And so in that aspect, there are things that you do in the military that are like that, but there's a bit more because of the dollar value behind it that I want to reiterate because that's an important feature of selling. Another thing is the presentations and public speaking. You're going to be doing a ton of that, whether you're demoing, just getting in front of customers, talking about anything really off the cuff. You just need to be ready to talk and present in front of people. And that's as I said, a variety of audiences. So maybe that's a formal deck, maybe it's just a call, but you're going to be up in public on a regular basis. So if that's something that interests you, if you find it to be challenging and rewarding, then maybe this is the right fit for you also. I found it was the right fit for me. It's something I like to do. Even though it intimidates me, I'm still a little nervous every single time I get on call, but I like doing it. That's what I like. And then some added bonuses to this being a sales engineer that I've enjoyed. Part of it is being competitive. You got quotas. That's a huge thing. The quota is like a giant moving line behind you all the time. You want to stay ahead of your quota. You want to oversell your quota. You want to deliver as much as possible, sell as much as possible, but doing it and doing right by the customer, right? So that is a challenge you're always up against. Every single half is a new challenge because you start fresh, your quota's back to zero, you're resetting, you're restarting, and you're going to go through that half and do the best you can. And you're going to learn, you're going to fail, you're going to do lots of things, but that's included, right? There's a lot of skilling up you're going to do. For me, personally, on my team, I have a ton of other subject matter experts, all better than me. Those people know their job. I need to keep up with them all the time. How can I do that? I need to do it by skilling up. So that's taking certifications. That's getting into the weeds of technologies, learning things that are really going to help customers. It's not easy to keep up, but that's what you got to do. And then you have an overall contribution to your team. You're passing on knowledge. You're creating new things. You're sharing things with them so they can be successful too. You're sharing it with your wider organization, the things you learn, the trends you see, those things. So you're contributing, and it's all competitive, right? Because there's other people doing the same thing. How do you add value? The flexibility of being in sales engineering is great. So personally for me, I work from home. I have a great arrangement. It's gotten me more time with my family. I don't travel that much. My customers are all over the United States. So it's important that I'm here and able to talk to any of them, no matter where they're at. So I can't just be everywhere. So that for me is giving me a lot of flexibility that I enjoy. And then also my schedule. As I said, lots of customers everywhere, which means that they're not all on the same schedule all the time. I'm talking with Pacific, I'm talking with East Coast. So these people are busy, and I need to pick my schedule and be able to balance all that, right? So I'm totally responsible for my schedule, everything I do and fail to do, kind of like a commander. And that is all on me to figure out. But it also gives me the autonomy to make it work for myself. So I can schedule time to study. I can schedule time for working on products. I can schedule time for building labs. I can schedule time with customers too. All of that needs to be done. That's all included as part of a larger timeline. So all that said, that is why I enjoyed sales engineering. That's why I picked sales engineering over cloud engineering. I thought I could have a larger impact, and I thought that I could get a better output from all the stuff that I had picked up from the military if I decided to go in a role that was like this. And what I would encourage you to do is, if you're going through this process and you're looking at possible roles, and you say maybe you're an engineer or you're a technical expert or you're somebody who's been doing something for a long time, if you have a lot of those other skills that I mentioned that I'm using every day as a sales engineer, don't rule out going into sales because you've heard of the gimmicky used car salesman thing, because that's not it. That's a type of sales, but this is not the sales that we're doing as sales engineers. And I think it's worth weighing, because it really will help you use some of those skills that you've earned, and you've got a ton of them, I promise. It will also help just grow you as a person outside. It'll give you a challenge that I think goes beyond just the technical side, which is really enjoyable. So anyway, if this was helpful, please share it. This is for everybody. I don't want to keep this information to myself. So please, share this out. If you know anybody that's transitioning, if you're transitioning, I hope this has been helpful for you. I hope it's helped inform your decisions. But anyway, wishing you best of luck in 2024. Feel free to reach out to me on my LinkedIn. I'm always there posting technical content, business content, everything in between about cloud and this too. So anyway, looking forward to talking with you more in 2024. Best of luck.